Cursor IDE came out a couple years ago, and the game has changed. Since then, we've seen these numerous VS Code forks come out that were attempting to do the same thing Cursor did. We saw Windsurf. Posit has this Positron open source one that's a VS Code fork. And then there was a small company that came out of Y Combinator last year called Nao Labs. When it first opened itself up to beta testing, I had signed on because I had been following that batch of the Y Combinator group, and I thought it had an interesting premise, which was we want to be the Cursor for data engineering. That's what they originally had said. I liked the idea, and I signed up for the beta, and I opened the app. And if you've ever seen any of my other videos, you know I essentially have a 5-minute window for new tools. I want to see if you can reach me within 5 minutes so I can get up and running and creating something valuable within that time. I think that's a design success for a lot of tools. So what I did when I opened Nao Labs was I broke it. I brought in a CSV into the context because it's set up essentially just like Cursor. And I tried to ask it an analytical question, and I immediately got a out of memory error, essentially. What that told me was, hey, maybe I'm not the right customer profile for this tool right now, and instead I should just keep an eye on Nao. Surprisingly, one of the co-founders of Nao Labs, Claire, actually reached out to me and asked me what I was doing. And I let her know I wasn't trying to build a DBT pipeline, which is what the core focus was when it first came out. I was trying to simply do analysis on a CSV. We had a little bit of back and forth, and she let me know that, oh, well, we're going to be bringing DuckDB into this soon as an option, which I thought was really cool. So I joined the Slack for their product, and I had kept an eye on it over the last 6-7 months or so. Well, they finished their time at YC, and they're out on their own now. And I have to say they've been cranking out the updates so much that I had gotten curious again about where it was at. And I decided this would be a really good time to try a video and try it out. I had touched it earlier, but I think it's probably in a much different place now. I reached out to Claire to let her know I wanted to do this. And she let me know that, hey, we've got a update coming soon that is going to refresh our data preview. So I waited for that update, and I have my account ready to go. So I think now is the time to just see what Nao Labs has to offer. Okay, so what I like to always do is to start at the website. I just like to see what a product's marketing looks like. I like to see what they are sort of promising on the front end of things for any user that's coming to check out the tool. And then I like to see how that compares once we actually get into the tool and start playing around with it. So at the very top, you do see the direct distinction that they want to be a cursor for data teams. This does feel a little bit different than when I first saw it. And so I think it's a much better idea to try to be a cursor for data teams, because this is a much broader set of capabilities and features then. So that'll be interesting to check out. It's an AI code editor to ship data at business pace. So this is pretty common, this sort of, title and subtitle. But I do have to say, if I was correct that they were originally the cursor for data engineering, I think it was a much better call to expand that out into being the cursor for data teams. So scrolling down, you'll see some of the screenshots that will be in Nao Labs. A couple of things I'm immediately noticing is a data preview down at the bottom window and this data lineage here, which is really cool. I want to check this out. And then there's going to be a chat as well. And then, so here on the bottom left as well is it like a BigQuery connection. Okay. And we are going to connect to BigQuery when we do this. I've got one ready and I know that they have a connector for it. But yeah, you can see there's a connection straight to the warehouse for BigQuery. And then there's all these other tables below. So it looks like there's a view for that as well. So that's exciting and markedly different than Cursor. I want to check that out. Ship data faster. Okay, so you can create SQL pipelines, which is good. There's just sort of chatting here, write SQL to count daily number of intercom stuff. So anyways, there's going to be this, talk to data, text to SQL type of feature going on here. We'll need to check out. Work with DBT. Yeah, this is it. I think its core functionality, at least the beta was. I'm not a big DBT user. I'm not a traditional data engineer. I'm a full stack data person. So I do write pipelines. I actually have been really loving DLT. Maybe we can try that in today's video. If we have time, we'll see. But from what I understand, what I've seen in Slack, their DBT integration, they've really focused on it, and I think they've nailed it. It would be nice to get some DBT people to really validate that, but we won't be touching that today in today's video. So running analytics, yeah, and asking, you can see kind of in the screen here, asking KPIs and metrics from it. We're going to do that. Check that out. I definitely want to see what that feels like and see, what's the differentiator here from me doing it in Nao versus Cursor. So we'll find out. And then create Python pipelines. So I think this is probably what I'll be touching if I want to make a DLT pipeline. If I want to do that, then I'll kind of do it here, create Python files and do that. Okay, so let's keep moving down. Native data connections, tab 2 data, data autocompletes. The native data connections looks like just different types of connections that we have that we're going to be able to pull in for BigQuery and potentially anything else, maybe DuckDB. So without breaking numbers and dashboards, instant diff preview. Yeah, this is cool. So they've got the diff in the code here, right? And then they've got the diff actually in the columns. So if I'm seeing this correctly, they've created an alias for this event column as event name, and they're showing the diff in that. That is good. That's a lot of taste. That's really focused on what a data user needs. It's not like a data user trying to just use Cursor or work around Cursor, because I think Cursor is ultimately for data. I think Cursor is ultimately for software engineers, but this decision is good. Agent for data quality checks. Yeah, I think this is really good. Running the agent to doing quality checks on it. We'll see how that feels in the UI, but that's next level stuff. That's the stuff we want, is to really leverage our agents to go off and do these quality checks, these unit tests. Agent for data diffs. Okay, cool. So looking at your dev tables and making sure they're consistent with your production ones, or like this incoming source data, say you're bringing in from a DLT, and then checking its schema and its statistics, say with the destination table you're sending it to. So that's a really cool one. And then an agent to run your tests, right? So an agent to run, summarize unit tests, make sure whatever you're sending through this pipeline is what you want, and you're not going to break something downstream. That's really good. And again, it's everything's agent driven. It's AI driven here, and I think that's it's whether we like it or not. This is what we need to get comfortable with in our tools. I'm personally really comfortable with it, but I think I've been using Cursor as more of an analytics tool and less of a software engineering tool lately, and that's what's really gotten me to be like, I need to go check Nao out. All the tools you love in one IDE, your data warehouses, your transformation tools, which is just DBT, I think, for now, outside of writing your own pipelines, and then your own BI tools, which are coming soon, which is fine. We're not going to worry about BI tools. All right, so start data vibing. So, that's fun. I've already downloaded it. We won't go to the facts. It's straightforward. I think there's blogs and docs. I think on their blogs, they write quite a bit. They do. So conversational analytics, maybe not since July. That's interesting to write. And they have multiple models you can try out. That's nice. For docs, you can set up, explore features, and learn the vibe coding. So, I'll have to check it and see how their docs look and see how that integration feels. Let's get over to the actual tool. So I've got the tool up. It's fresh. And we're going to come at this just brand new and figure out what works. Let's do a couple things here first. Let's make this slightly bigger. Okay. Welcome to Nao. Can I close that? Okay, well, maybe I killed that. Whoops. Okay, so we've got the chat on the side. I do need to log in. Okay, let me go log in real quick and then we'll come back. Okay, I logged in, just had to do a quick authentication, but here we are. There is some preferences that I'm not going to worry about. I'm not going to import my VS Code stuff. I'm just going to kind of get right into it. Privacy features, yeah, nothing I think I really need in the general section. Warehouse connections, this is what I want. So I want to add a connection and let's see what our options are. Okay, so we've got BigQuery, which I will do, Snowflake, Postgres, Redshift, Databricks, DuckDB. I don't see MotherDuck. I thought I saw it on the website, but I don't see it here. DuckDB would be really cool to do internally, see if we have time for that, but I definitely am going to do BigQuery. So let me do this. All right, so I'm also now just going to go get all of my BigQuery connection stuff and put it in here. Okay, I've got my stuff in for BigQuery. It had a couple options for authorization. There was SSO, OAuth, or there was also service account. I do have service accounts, but I think I'm going to just do the SSO via OAuth here, and we'll just see how that goes. All right, so it's going to ask me to connect with my Google. I'm going to give it permissions. And I am good. All right. So this says it's connected, attached to the workspace. Okay, they will attach to the workspace. BigQuery options. Oh, okay, cool. There's a query size limit. This is good. Give yourself okay, this is good. So yeah, the first thing here I see is getting ahead of your persona. So one of the things that eludes a lot of, say, data analysts and data scientists, they don't tend to think a lot about how much is the query I'm about to run cost. But still, this is saying, hey, why don't you can set a query limit for the size of gigabytes of your query, and then, if it's over that, we won't process it. Not to hang on it too much, but I think that's really awesome. I'm going to leave this because the data I'm working with is not big, and I know that I won't go in there, but I really do appreciate now putting that there and putting it there right at the point of connection, because it sort of flows next. Like, oh, I should think about this actually probably right now. And I don't think a lot of data people do. That's one of the great things of learning the tenets of data engineering is you learn the ways that cost comes into play with every bit of SQL that you write. So I suggest it. Get to know your data engineers or go learn on your own. Okay. Agent is whatever model you want. It's going with 4. I'm going to go with 4.5 because that's my new love. I'm going to go with 4.5. And that looks good. Let me bring up the Explorer now. And I've got all right, so no folders are opened. Yeah, I haven't. So what else can I do? I can bring up a terminal. So yeah, so just like VS Code, I can get a terminal going. What do we have our options up here? There's Explorer, Warehouse. Okay, good. I'm going to click on that, but hold on. SQL Worksheets, Search, Source Control, Run Debug, your normal stuff with your VS Code fork type of input here. But Warehouse and SQL Worksheets specifically would be unique to Now, I believe. And then over here, Settings and, okay, Open Lineage. I want to click on that real bad, but I'm going to wait. Open Lineage. Okay, so I think the Lineage is going to be that graphic we saw on the website. So that's going to be cool. I love visual flowcharts, especially interactive ones. They're my favorite thing to do. I like moving the nodes around. So I will click on that. I just don't know when. All right, let's go to Warehouse. All right, Nao Labs connection is active. That's my connection I wrote for my BigQuery. So there's my data set. There's my tables, and boom, here are each of the tables that I have. This is awesome. So this is great. So they've kind of brought the experience of BigQuery into Now here. There's, just this left side, drop down Explorer, and that's cool. BigQuery did a recent update to the UI where they're sort of moving away from this. You can go back to it in a classic way, but they're kind of moving away from it. But I still love my drop downs for my tables because it lets me see everything. Anyways, let's click on streaming data. So you saw there was a quick query that ran, get the settings out of the way. And what do we have? We've got a data preview set up here. And There's like a select all with probably a limit of 100 on it. Yep. So a select all with a limit of 100. So the results are pretty clear. This is a synthetic data set that I built. It's meant to mimic users that are watching television shows on this made up streaming company. And it's got dates, timestamps, user IDs, integers, strings, and then sort of these larger text strings as well. So good things for categorization, grouping. You can usually do everything you need in SQL with this. It's really nice. Window functions, the whole shebang. All right, what does columns have? So columns says 300 rows, good. So just a schema breakdown, that's great. Alas modified is also nice to see. But yeah, I appreciate that it's kind of here with the results in the columns. This is good interaction, and it's good info. And what Nao Labs is doing, I'm going to assume, what they're trying to achieve from a product standpoint is we want you to come into Now and we want you to stay here. Okay. So the minute that you're going to lose someone in this situation is if there's something they want to know about the data in their BigQuery data that they can't get here. That means they're going to have to go back over to BigQuery to do something. And once they're back over to BigQuery, they probably know it more, they probably feel the UI more, and they're probably just going to stay there. So when you're building something like this, that is essentially connecting to another UI like BigQuery, you really want to take a lot of time to understand what the user needs to not have them shuffle between the two. You want to keep them in here. And so I think that's what Now is trying to do. And so that's good. So results are here and the columns are here. Okay. We're connected to the database, and what is Now? Now is data vibing. It's an AI editor. It's a tool. So let's start out with some basic analytics. Let's talk to our data. All right. Let's get the Explorer out of the way, and let's come over to the chat. Okay. I understand this table well already, so I'm not going to look at it. I'm going to bring this all the way over here to give a little more space. I do like the way the response looks in Now. I feel like it's a little different than the VS Code. Maybe they've given a little bit of their own, I don't know, line thickness and responsiveness to it. I'm not sure, but it feels good. I like it. Okay, so we've got context here in the chat, and then obviously what we want to ask, and we've got our model down here, and we're in edit mode, so that's the agent. It says agent and cursor. This is edit. I actually like that better as edit because we're going to edit something. And then chat. Okay, cool. So chat, clicking on it turns into chat. So you got chat and agent. We'll start with edit. I want the agent to kind of do something. And let's see what we have for context. Okay, so very good. Again, Now's making some good decisions here. And this makes sense. The fact that they're still shipping and pushing and I see activity and I feel like more and more in their Slack, it means that they are solving some problems and people, want more, which is great. This right here is very good for context, the tables. I have a BigQuery connector. I want to talk to the LLM and subsequently the agent through the context of a table that I want to work with. And I feel like I don't want to talk about it. I'd like it just to be in there. So this is cool. There's an SQL Worksheet, which again, I think is Now specific. And then there's files, which is, you'd see that in cursor as well. If I click on tables, yeah. So there it is. I mean, they're all my tables. This is great. And I can also search in there too. So here's the list and I can also search. That's great. I'm going to do with the streaming data. Click that. Yeah, so that table now is in the context of what I'm going to talk to the LLM about. This is great. So this is the big difference between Cursor being more focused around software engineering and then Now, which is, it's focused around a data team, people in data. And their context is not going to be necessarily markdown files and code bases necessarily. If they're trying to do analytics or conversational analytics, their context is going to be tables. And then they want to be able to ask the LLM things and then subsequently have an agent go off, probably through an MCP server, I'm assuming, write SQL, run it, and come back, and then let the LLM, offer a natural language response. So I'm going to vibe analyze here, and we're going to see what happens. So give me, I think we're I think we're good. I'll go in a little bit more and see if it's a little too chunky. So give me, 5 KPIs I should care about for this table. I'm just going to give it that. I didn't put the name of the table. It's already in context. That's really, really nice because moving forward, I just don't have to keep bringing it back. Yeah, so it's running right along. Okay. Yeah, so this feels very similar to how BigQuery has a toolbox, which is an MCP server and some other things in there that I set up. It's extremely cumbersome to set up and it's annoying. You have to setting up MCP servers in general are annoying. Claude's made it a little bit easier, but I don't use Claude Pro, so I don't have access to it. I use Cursor, and Cursor makes it a little bit easier to put things into its JSON, but then you have to get the server up and running locally. Anyways, Now seems to be just handling all that, which is great. That's a particular headache I'm not really interested in. I don't like setting up MCP servers. So if they're using MCP here, which I feel like they must be, then that's great. I just had to ask a question. It's getting answers from my table. Now, maybe it has also brought the table into memory. I don't know exactly what's happening. Is there a call here now? Anyways, let's see what it did. So completion rate is a KPI. Correct. That's perfect off of this data. That's the type of KPI I've come up with before. All right, the duration with the show duration. So that's immediately intuitive. Average watch time per user, 100%. Content performance by genre, daily active users, 100%. And then geographic distribution. So let's say I had no context with this table at all. Let's say I'm a data analyst. The data engineer has done their due diligence and they've built this nice, pure analytical table that I don't need to worry about joining and stuff. I should just be able to ask questions on. It's built for a purpose. Okay. I am being explained what this is without needing to even look at the table. That is fantastic. And the bonus KPIs, churn, show popularity, and peak viewing hours. Yeah, so this is great. So if I'm like, oh, I do want this, I do like this, maybe I do want to make some kind of pipeline with this. What would you like me to write? Would you like me to write SQL queries to calculate any of these KPIs? Sure. Yes. Let's write SQL. I'm going to be nice to the LLM. Sometimes I'm a little brutal and I don't care about my spelling, but I'm going to worry about my spelling here. So let's see what it says here. And remember, this is Claude 4.5. It's my favorite model right now, and I think it does a great job. Okay, so I'll create SQL queries to calculate each of the KPIs. All right, let's run it. Okay, so we've got the output. Very good. It's doing some more. Before we click on the next one, let's look at this. So we've got the output here, average completion rate, duration seconds, average show duration, total views. Okay, so up here, so the 5 KPIs. Okay. Is it giving me is it the 5 actual KPIs or is it just the? Aha. Okay. Cool. I can get the code. Very good. Cool. So the results and then the code. Yeah. So this is okay. So this is another thing. Again, what is happening right now is very good. Now is keeping you in flow. I'm not coming out of the chat. I connected to the BigQuery. I moved into a chat. I gave it a request around something that I want to analyze, and then it's getting me into code now, all within the chat, okay? I'm not really sold on just being in the terminal yet. I do love the chat window, to be honest, still. I just think it interactively is nicer. And you can see here, now is offering you to see the code so you can kind of assess that, because I kind of want to say, well, what are you doing here? So you've got this, this case when statement here, and then you're averaging and rounding that to 2 decimals in the average completion rate, which is exactly what I would do. Okay, and this is BigQuery SQL. This is good, but then you have the output as well, so you can actually go back between the output and the SQL, quite frankly, in a more elegant way than you can even in BigQuery. In BigQuery, you kind of have to look down and up. You've got it, then down. You got it down. I kind of like the fact that it sort of just takes the window back and forth. At least it being in a chat window, this is an efficient way to show this view. So this is good. So they're making these particular KPIs, which is good. So I think it's just different levels of duration in the total views. Okay, so I love that. Let's run the next one. What's the next one going to do? All right, the next one is, okay, I think it's by user. One of the issues with my synthesized data here is I think every row is a unique user. I have an updated pipeline, which I'll be putting a video on, that creates groups of users, and so we won't have that problem. But I think when I synthesized this originally, I was not clever enough to say, oh, there should be multiple rows of the same user. This is really good. So I like that. The scrolling, it's very concise in the chat window, which is great. I can go up and down with it. It feels good. And I also can kind of see the top level metrics above. And again, here's the SQL and here's the output. So I am liking that. It feels nice in the chat window. Very good. All right, what's the third one here? We're going to do by show genre. Okay. Yeah, okay. Content performance by genre. Okay, great. I love that. Yeah, and that's super important. All right, so we've got the top level, then we've got user, and then how down here we have, yeah, by genre. Look at this. This is great. Okay, so this has horizontal scrolling. I was going to say this is over a little bit. So they've got horizontal scrolling looking good. They've got vertical scrolling looking good. And I got to say, I mean, look at the way this is right now. So let's go back up the top real quick, because Nao has done something here from a feel perspective. And if you've known any of my other videos, my whole thing about tool usage is about feel. You know, there's almost no excuse anymore. It has to feel good, and it has to keep you in flow, especially when you're doing this AI and this chat stuff, because you can kind of go off into weird tangents. And so really focusing what we're doing here in a chat is super important. I think that's more of a skill that we're all building, is like, how do I make this chat more performant? How do I really work through it? So I asked for top five KPIs. It explained that to me. Then I wanted to run the SQL and see the outputs. And here we are, top level by user and then by genre. And that looks really, really good. I mean, that already looks to me like a Streamlit page that I would want to see this breakdown, so I could see it right there. And then there's daily active users. And let's see if they're doing anything clever with this. Nope, just distinct and then getting at the day. Cool. Daily active users kind of comes up, total views, daily active users, yeah, and then total watch hours, and it's by the date. So it's handling the dates really well. Looks like they're handling the date times really well. I've got no errors. It hasn't created SQL that's silly. Everything looks like how I would write it, and that's very nice. And it's also contained. Now, granted, again, this data does not need to be joined. I'm not really pushing the limits here. It really just needs well thought out select statements with aggregation, but it makes for a very pleasant experience in the chat. That's why I like to use this data set. If your tool can't work well with this data set, you're not going to make it. Nao's doing a great job so far. Okay, geographic distribution for KPI number 5. Let's run that. Yeah, great. Love it. Perfect. Calculate all the KPIs. And it did it really, really well. Look at it. Man, this right here would be like a report output, quite frankly, right now. I mean, if I was an analyst and I was told, hey, we've got this data set that came in, it's showing our streaming data, go find, the things we should care about and get some numbers and tell me what happened. Okay. I mean, I've got it right here, in this chat. Let's see. So I got, a KPI summary. So it gives me the completion rate, based on overall, if I was to ask it some questions, to break that down would. But if I was like, hey, look at this whole data set, I'd probably ask some questions up top if I wanted to time box it. But yeah, average watch time, user engagement. I mean, this is the DAU, geo, breakdown, and the key recommendations. Yeah, the key recommendations. Claude 4.5 is great. It's my favorite model. I love it. It's doing a great job. This is awesome. I kind of want, this is great. I kind of want to see this as a PDF. I don't know if I'm going to go off on a tangent here, but I kind of want to see. I'm trying to think, can you download this as a PDF for me? This entire chat as a PDF for me. I'm gonna see what it can do. Claude 4.5 can do some cool stuff. Oh, you know what it can also do is like PowerPoint stuff. But I don't know if I want to get into that. Let's see what it says. I don't have the ability to download or export the chat. Duh. I knew that, but still I should have said it a different way. However, I can help you create a document. Okay. Let me create a comprehensive markdown document for you. So yeah, I should have just asked to make it a markdown file. It's okay. Okay, so what I just managed to do was to somehow close Nao. So I lost my chat I had, but we came to the very end of that chat. I thought I was saving it, and I think I hit new. So it was a bit of a weird user error on my part. Sometimes making these videos while I'm busting through things in the tool, it kind of breaks stuff. So it is what it is. But the cool thing was we went through that whole analysis together. And I don't know about you, but I thought that was really freaking awesome. And I was super excited about it. Very effortless, immediately better than Cursor. Immediately. Cursor has a lot of workarounds if you're trying to use it for data. In the same way, VS Code. So Cursor was better than VS Code for data because you could kind of just like look at stuff and you didn't have to bring in some, IPython plugin or anything like that. But Nao is creating the same experience, but they're really, really honing in on an elegant type of experience for a data team. So this, I think, review is going to continue to go well. So far, so good. I just noticed that there's a download CSV2 there. It's a fantastic choice. Again, these are things that I would end up putting into a Streamlit app or a data product that I would want. And look, sometimes your non-technical people, your non-technical teams, your leadership teams, that's what they want. They want maybe like an HTML URL to go to with the options that they need. And we all know they always just want to eventually download to Excel, but to have it here as well is really, really nice. Especially if your permissions are limited, but if you can read a table and download it, and then maybe you want to do things in Excel, upload it to Google Sheets, all kinds of stuff. So I just want to say that was a very pleasant experience from analyzing a BigQuery table. Very good. I'm going to try to make a DLT pipeline, and I don't know how this is going to go. I tend to try to not code in real time too much here. So I'm actually going to work off of a template that I have that I use to, vibe a data pipelines with DLT. So let me do that. Let's get this out of here. What's an SQL worksheet actually, first of all? It's just an SQL. So you can execute SQL here, huh? Interesting. What if I add a table? Oh, wait, okay. Before we get into DLT, let's check this out. Okay, I should have moved to SQL Worksheets because I think I know what's going on here. And this is also something very, very nice. If I'm connected to my BigQuery table and I add this as streaming data, what is this going to execute on? Okay, what I'm going to have it do is write me SQL to understand average watch duration time per user for this table. Let me do that. So this is now the nitty gritty. I'm getting into a question like, hey, give me the SQL for this because I might be needing to take this and build maybe a scheduled query in BigQuery. And that's the type of stuff we want to keep and we want to use. So great. So here's an apply. They've written the SQL here, and then they give me a little, breakdown of what it is. So if I put it over here and I execute it, yeah, it's running. Woo. That was did you get that? Yeah. That's a good thing now, just FYI. So I'm like connecting to my BigQuery table. I'm running SQL in this tool, not being in BigQuery. Now has found a way to get me to not go back to BigQuery. I can just go through my tables and everything here. I can execute the SQL here. This is an untitled. How do I go? If I do a new, how do I do a new SQL file? That's a new file. SQL Worksheets. I can start one here. New worksheet. Yes. Yes, I said. Okay. That's nice. We've got this. We've got this. We are like running SQL now in the same way BigQuery does. Tab, tab, tab. I've got access to the tables over here. I've got the LLM to like help with me getting this. It's much more intuitive than trying to use Gemini in BigQuery. It's not good. Poor UI. Sorry, GCP, BigQuery team. Got to figure that out. This is the way I like to write. I like to be in the chat. I like to do this. This is good. Why am I whispering? It's because I'm excited. Okay, so in this one, let me do a couple things. I totally lost track of what I was trying to do. Okay, so this one runs it, boom, execute, but say there's another SQL file I want to run, I can do that. Okay, so when I do execute this, is this executing? Oh, results. Okay, so the results are down here. Right, the results are down here. I can bring the chat over a little bit. The results are here. You've got front, back. So I think this is the data preview refresh they have. It's so good to be able to see this. It puts you you're in a data tool right now, but you have the LLM right there. And it's interesting. So now obviously you can do a lot. I'm just in the analysis workflow essentially here and now. If I was over and try to make a DBT pipeline, say for, if I use DBT, I'd be in a totally different kind of workflow, probably using the same window panes and everything, but I'd be like in this total other workflow. This is what is exciting about now, because what they're creating is a platform where the UI is sort of agnostic to who you are, what you're doing. It's just saying there are different ways to get into different views of your data here. You might be using the LLM to build DBT, or you might be using it to run SQL on your BigQuery connection. I mean, like, wow. They've nailed it. This is such a huge improvement from when I first broke it in the first 5 minutes the first time. Okay, I love this. I really like it. Okay, if I go command, yes. Okay, so on my Mac, when I hit command return, it runs the query again. So I don't have to come up and interact with the button, but the button's there as a call out to say this can be ran. Those are the right calls. And that's the really nice thing about having a community of users, like in their Slack. People bring this up. I put all this stuff into my own tools, but why should I have to build my own tools if Nao is off working on it? Yep, I said it. I said it right there. I'm so glad I clicked on SQL Worksheets. That's great. All right. I'm not going to save. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make a new file. No, I think we'll come over to here. We're in this folder. Let's make a new folder. This will be, I want to do I guess I want to do S3 with the DLT. Okay, let's do it. So I'm going to connect to a S3 bucket and view it. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to call this S3 to DuckDB. That's what I want to bring in. I want to bring in Parquet from an S3 via DLT and then just turn it into a DuckDB database, and I want to view it. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. So one of the things I want to do is bring in, I'm going to make a new chat, and I'm going to say goodbye to these SQLs. That was really cool. Thank you for your time. I am going to bring in a template that I have, a couple docs that I use to vibe code my DLT pipelines. And you can get a look at that. And it may not be perfect. We're just going to see how it goes. We'll see if we can get a actual pipeline going from an S3 bucket locally into DuckDB. Let's see what we have. I'm going to go get a couple things in this folder real quick, and then I'll be right back. Okay, what I brought in here is first my references text, which if you click it, I just like to bring in the DLT GitHub and then DuckDB docs. And then I have a DLT templates markdown. And that's where I go a lot into the use cases. I have templates basically of how things are created and structured, and it should be able to work off of this and really reduce hallucinations and give it the context it needs to make the right stuff. So that is something that I always use now. One thing I should add into here is actually the DLT docs. And I'm gonna add that. Okay, I went and got the doc page for a clean environment setup. DLT has fantastic documents, which is why it vibe codes really well. So I have the templates, I have the references here. I'm gonna go ahead and ask it. I'm gonna say, I have, create a pipeline, create a DLT pipeline. That transfers a Parquet from my S3 bucket to a DuckDB instance locally. Well, actually, in memory. I'm going to do an in-memory DuckDB instance. An in-memory DuckDB instance, and then a DuckDB SQL statement to read the data. Let's see, I'm gonna add a couple things just to make sure. Use UV for the VNV and package management. Please use UV, always, people. If you don't know, look it up, Astral UV, you need to always use it. I think that's it. All right, we're gonna do it. This is the fun probabilities of doing this stuff agentically. Did I give it what it needs? I think I do, although I will add the context here. Yes, so reference and the markdowns. I will say use the templates markdown, to build things, correctly, to my standards. It's kind of what I'm looking for. All right, let's see what it does. Okay, it finished building some stuff, and so far from what I'm seeing, it looks good. So it created S3 DuckDB.py. I already made that, but still the pipeline script, requirements text, which we need, and then it added some stuff in the secrets, which we're going to need. We're going to need that to be able to read it into DLT secrets, and then it created a README. I'm going to accept everything because that looks like what I need, and then we'll do a quick cursory check over the Python file DLT. It's got the file system and the read Parquet correct, time deltas, this is correct. So it's looking at specifically my templates markdown, which I highly suggest this. So, what it's doing here is getting yesterday's data. I'm not telling it to do that. It's looking at my standards for what I want. So if I'm getting data, if I'm trying to run a pipeline this morning, I want yesterday's data, and that would bring that into and append it onto a current data base or data set or table. And that's what this is doing here. I didn't have to tell it to do that. It referenced my markdown template, and it understood, hey, we should do that. Great, so the S3 is here. Your bucket path, that should be in the DLT secrets. We'll put it here. I still got to add that. The secrets ID, the access, the region. I'll put the bucket path probably in here as well. Either way, that's fine. I can plug it in there. It's going to look at the S3. It's going to create the DuckDB in memory. Okay, so it's going to read the Parquet. It's going to put it in memory. It's going to create a DLT pipeline at this point now. That's going to say, it's going to be a pipeline named this. It's going to be from an S3 data set. The destination is going to be the DuckDB in memory connection. And then it'll print that it's running, that it's read, completed info, all that awesome stuff. And then down here, it wrote DuckDB. So it's going to, I don't know if that's actually specifically, no, DuckDB. Yeah, it is. Execute, describe, S3 data sets, fetch all. So it's doing some stuff to tell me, very basic stuff. And then it's even got a very clever cleanup. Again, this is in my template, which is important. Closing those DuckDB connections. That is a huge pain in the butt. So you always want to close it when you create it. It should be in there. But look at this. I didn't write this. That looks really clean. It's got the steps, the explanations. It's got all of the comments, and they're in a way that I understand. That's why a templates file is really, really good, people. And I can talk about how to do that too in some other time, or maybe in a Substack. But this is cool. Basically, all we would need to do here, and this is where we do an actual select all. All we need to do here is get my, credentials over into the secrets, and then we should be able to just run this. Oh, we do have to do one thing. In fact, look, we should look at the LLM chat over here. Create the virtual environment. We do need to do that. And then we need to install the dependencies, the requirements text, and then we'll get to the secret. So let's do that real quick. Let's go UVVNV. I'm going to say .vnv. That's what I always like to do. Okay, cool. Oh, well, okay. First of all, I put that in the chat. We're going to open a terminal. That's so funny. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to take what it did. All right. Here we go. Ready? Okay. Run there. And then we'll get the source going. We're not going to pay attention to this. Okay. We're up in the virtual environment now. And now we'll use UV to pip install the requirements. Hopefully they've put the requirements in there as needed. So very fast when we do that. Okay, so now we gotta put credentials into the secrets. I'm gonna do that real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, we've got credentials in the secrets. We've got the bucket name up here in the script. From here, we would try to run it. We'd see what happens. We're just gonna go. I'm just gonna go. We're gonna run it. Okay, so let's go Python. Don't think I'm missing anything. Yep, S3. DuckDB.py. So we're just going to run this and we're going to see what happens. I'm going to make that go away. We'll keep this chat in here. Let's see what happens. Okay, starting the pipeline. Okay, so it looks like credentials went through. Starting the pipeline. Total statistics, 9,120 rows. Was that all I was really getting? Query data. So let's see here. Okay, select all. Okay, that was result, schema, count. And then, yeah, it's not the best output. I can improve this. But let's do, okay, this is good. So anyways, that just ran, and that's an in-memory DuckDB instance now. Okay, so when it did it, let's add some more statistics. Okay, can we add some more statistics about the table in DuckDB, and maybe some aggregate numbers? Okay, and show them in the terminal output. Okay, so let's have that go. Okay, it made some decisions and I'm gonna accept them. Kind of eyeballing them here, kind of seeing some stuff. Let's save. We got some problems. Was not closed. Let's take a quick look at that. I see this. What's going on here? Doesn't like something here. Can I? Okay. So had a little flub there, but the problem section tells me that because I'm in a VS Code fork, so I can kind of look at that, and I made the fix. Great. Let's run it again, and let's see what we have. Starting the pipeline, credentials are working great. Total columns, total rows. Let's see here, what else we have up top. Okay, cool. There's a lot of other things going on up top here too. Okay, column statistics. So it's just printing out the actual statistics of the columns and everything, which is like great. I didn't code any of that. What's it been, people? About 10 minutes. From here, I could send it off to MotherDuck. Like if I just go, now add a pipeline after the data check to send to MotherDuck. All right, let's just do this. We're gonna actually just vibe into this now, but it should look. Actually, stop real quick. I'm gonna make sure it has my templates because I think that's on there. Okay, and not no, we'll say now because that was kind of like now. Use the template file. All right, we're gonna use the template file. We're gonna see what it does. I don't think I'm going to send it over to MotherDuck yet. I think we just want to kind of have this clear understanding like, yes, this is going to work. Let's check it out. Okay, it's made a section here. I'm going to actually kill the terminal and just kind of show you. Now we have, something already set up where we'll look to see if we got the secrets for MotherDuck. If we do, we'll connect to MotherDuck. It's using DuckDB. This is one way to do it, this right here. Another way is just a call from the actual secrets directly, which you can, but this should work. And then it brings in the DLT pipeline, and then it'll run it. And then it closes connection at the end. So this is a whole pipeline. From here, I would test that it went through MotherDuck. And if it did, and by the way, I have already built this type of pipeline before, so I know it will more than likely work with just maybe a couple tweaks. But from here, I can then ask the LLM to create a YAML for me so I can put this onto GitHub Actions, and I can just have that just a pipeline daily, which is what I do have. That's why I know it'll work. But I mean, like, we're there vibe coding a data pipeline in Nao. We have not left Nao. We started out looking at the BigQuery data. We analyzed it. Then we created some SQL ourselves and ran it to get an idea of like actual, like maybe more ad hoc stuff we wanted to look at and can run it, could update it. And then we moved over and built a DLT pipeline. I got to hand it to the Nao team. I am sure I'm just scratching the surface, but man, they're not just onto something, they've done something. And I am fully impressed. I am really excited. And I'm excited to put this video out so they can see this is really, really good stuff. This is hard to do. All right, this is hard to do. It's hard to tackle this sort of next generation agentic stuff with this traditional feeling of being a data analyst and an engineer. And they have done it. I'm sure the DBT is really good too. But man, this initial thing, what a pleasant experience. What a good feeling. I really love this. Man, we live in the golden age right now. And it maybe is going to even get even better. I don't know. But this was awesome. This was awesome. Hey everyone, if you like this video and you want to see more of these, well, just please like and subscribe to this channel. I also have a Substack where I'm building a community, and you can see the details for that in the description below. If you have any suggestions about other tools you'd like to see or types of videos, please leave them in the comments. And as always, have a great day.